submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society. This is my top 5 Are You Afraid of the Dark episodes. So here we go. Number 5 is The Guardian's Curse. Now this one has starred from another Nickelodeon 90s show that I used to watch called Salute Your Shorts. The actor who plays Butnick in that one is in this one. He plays a brother, and he and his sister have an archaeologist father who is always away, always doesn't really have time for them. And this time, right before they're about to go on a vacation, he gets dragged to a museum to study another artifact. This time, it's an ancient pharaoh, but this sort of pharaoh has a curse. Like the title says, The Guardian's Curse. But this one kind of has a bit of a detective vibe to it, trying to figure out what's going on with this curse, what does it really mean, and when certain things happen, they got to figure out what's causing them. And it's not just, oh, there's a ghost or something. There's a little bit more to it than that, and it's actually pretty interesting. I enjoy it, not just because, Butnick from Salute Your Shorts is in it. It's just a good episode. Number 4 is The Pinball Wizard. Now this one is fascinating for a couple of reasons. First of all, it shows how old the series is, because the intro to it, where the kids are talking before they tell the story, one of them is playing a Game Boy. The original Game Boy, yes. The old clunky black and green screen. Yeah, that Game Boy. He's playing it. And it's a really cool intro because they talk about he's like really into it, like a lot of people who play games are. He's like, I gotta beat it, come on, I'm almost there. And then this person who's about to tell a story says, yeah, it's just a game. You get another chance. If you mess up, you just hit restart, and there you go. But what happens if you have to beat it, and there are no continues, and there's no extra lives? And that's a great setup for this episode. A kid who really likes pinball. For those of you who don't know what pinball is, pinball was an arcade game. It was just, you would send a little ball up and try to hit these little bumpers in the machine, try to hit as many times as you could while trying to make sure it doesn't fall into the hole in front of you using little flippers. And the whole point of it is try to get a high score. Some of the more, advanced pinball games has some sort of story to them, I guess. But this one actually does. There's actually a story to this pinball game. But he gets so sucked into playing the game that he doesn't realize that he has been sucked into the game. And now he has to get out. And it's a really cool episode. And there's a little bit of him figuring things out, but the twist ending at the end just made me go, crap. Oh, crap. It's messed up. I'm not going to spoil what it is, but if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about, and it is messed up. But I gotta say, I was thoroughly entertained throughout the episode. Number 3 is Tale of the Midnight Ride. It's a retelling of the fabled American story of the Headless Horseman. For those of you outside the United States that don't know what this is, it's a story that starts from America's Revolutionary War, where a German mercenary gets his head taken off by a cannonball. And so he is cursed to forever try to find his head by taking other people's heads off. And this is kind of, in the original story, Ichabod Crane is a school teacher who gets sent to this town of Sleepy Hollow, and he runs afoul of the Headless Horseman. Now, the question becomes, what happens if you change the story? And that's where this story takes its cue. This new kid moves into Sleepy Hollow, and he starts chatting with this one girl. It takes a while to build up the story, but once it builds, it's actually a good telling of the old story and a nice little twist to it. And for early to mid 90s TV show standards, the CGI and the effects are well done, I thought. And what happens is he and this girl he's with, they run into Ichabod Crane, and they end up changing his story. So what happens when that story is changed? And that's where the fun begins. And once that happens, and once we see what happens, once they alter the story, it's a pretty cool story. And there are a couple of moments, especially for the '90s show, where you're like, come on, you can do it. You gotta go. It kind of gets you into the story, especially for me when I was at that age, when I was a young teenager. And I really enjoyed it. And so, yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. Now, number 2 is The Tale of the Phantom Cab. The very first Are You Afraid of the Dark episode. Now, this one is... I some people may not like it as much now, but I really enjoyed it. And even now, it's kind of fun to check back every once in a while. 2 brothers get lost in the woods, and they come across this guy who takes them to a cabin, not that cabin in the woods, by the way. Takes them to this cabin where our favorite not a nutbag, Dr. Vink with the v tells them he'll help them as long as they solve a riddle. But when they can't, he sends them on their way to get picked up by a cab. But this cab isn't exactly all it's cracked up to be. And now these two brothers gotta survive. That's all I'm going to say about it. That's all that needs to be said. But my number 1 favorite Are You Afraid of the Dark episode is Tale of Laughing in the Dark. Yeah, this is actually the 2nd episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark. And it's really good. This guy who tries to be a badass and all, oh, I'm not scared of anything, I'm cool, nothing bothers me. He gets challenged by his buddy to go into a bit of a haunted house slash fun house that has a history to it. I'm not going to tell you what the history is. I think you should just watch the episode and find out what it is. And now he says, I'll go through it. And not to mention, the clown, the killer, the scary clown at the end, I want to take his nose and make it as a souvenir. But when you F with this clown, something happens. And what's funny to me looking at this episode is that this was basically like a scary movie even, or a slasher movie, where this kid is getting stalked by the killer, the antagonist. There's even a classic, the call is coming from inside the house sort of a deal. And yeah, that's done in this episode, and it's done pretty well. There's a good chase going on in this. And so I really enjoy it, and I think it still is a strong episode, and it still, I think, stands the test of time. Unfortunately, not everything that's supposed to be scary can stand the test of time. But I'll save that list for another day. So that's it. That's my list. What's your favorite Are You Afraid of the Dark episode? Have you liked this list? Let me know. I have, like I said, got another list coming up, but I'm going to do a little detour before I get to that list. So, until then, happy Halloween.